Okay, so welcome back, dear colleagues. I'm going to introduce our next speaker, who is just a brilliant public speaker, Natalya Koulinkovich from Minsk, all the way from Belarus. And she is she organized all the teachers in Belarus, teachers from governmental and private institutions, and they have a community of teachers where they hold different activities, conferences, and do a lot of fun things. Okay, so Natalia is going to continue the topic of building up fluency and how to teach speaking in a very interesting way. Yeah, I'm not going to say any more. Okay, so Natalia.
Ooh, I get the microphone. Cool. Look, who's got their own Cuisinier rods? You know, it's very few people actually, but I don't think we all need them. I just ran an English camp, basically in the forest in Belarus, 100 teenagers, and it was a fun activity of a lot of different teachers brought together, and we were able to break rules and use our own methods. So one of our colleagues brought Cuisinier rods, and she actually did the silent method. I swear that for 4 lessons, she practically didn't say a word. I don't have that kind of magic. But that's her thing, that's Olga's thing. And she seems to be getting a lot of beneficial stuff for her students by using Cuisinier rods. She's got her own shiny toy, the silent method. It's good for her students, it's good for her. I have my own shiny toy, and if the slides come alive now, you'll all see it. My shiny toy is Toastmasters Public Speaking Club. If you go to toastmasters.org, you're going to be able to see it for yourself. Does that look scary?
No.
An overly enthusiastic young woman and some typically motivational phrase, be a better you. Or sometimes it's something like, leaders are made here. You know, at some point, especially when I put Toastmasters as my workplace on Facebook, I just forgot to put it into the hobby part. People check it out and they get kind of scared because if you find a video on YouTube with Toastmasters meetup, several things are gonna happen. People are gonna clap a lot. So someone stands up, comes in front of the audience, speaks for 2 minutes, and then everybody claps. And then again, and then again. It looks, oh, and you know what else they do? They all shake hands as they come onto the stage and leave the stage. It starts to look a little bit like a religious cult. Please don't let that scare you. It's not what it seems. It's actually a fun thing, which surprisingly, back to Antoine, the previous speaker, helps marry the fluency and the accuracy of your students. It's rather a popular thing actually. If you check out Moscow, you'll see that there are 7 clubs and people do public speeches there in the 4 languages. There's English, because that's the original format of Toastmasters. It was created around 100 years ago, and that's how that started in America. And then they have a German-speaking club and a French-speaking club and a Russian-speaking club. Now, any German speakers here? How's your German? See, you could challenge yourself. You could go join that club and dare to speak publicly in German. Yeah, that sounds scary, I know. If you kind of know the language, but you are not confident enough, you should probably try and speak publicly together with other like-minded individuals consider that a simulation before you go do some really scary stuff, like an interview in French, or, going to France and going there to study or something, not just, be the tourist and leave the tips. That's the only terminology we'll need to learn today. When you join a Toastmasters club, let's say you do, you as a speaker will be provided with 4 professional, empathetic, friendly listeners. See, evaluator, you'll get your own feedback provider. The feedback provider will work hard on giving you the yes sandwich, telling you what you did great, telling you where you probably need have some room for improvement, and also telling you how you can challenge yourself next. Like you tried a presentation with slides to help you in French, which is your 3rd foreign language. Next time try it without slides. It'll be harder or something. You have the grammarian. You know what we do in our club? We never set teachers as grammarians because we do that, every day. We do that. This is how we earn our living. It's so rewarding to see your students starting from level pre-intermediate play the role of a grammarian. It usually comes naturally as part of revision. Say the previous week, you, together with your students, combine a grammar checklist. So guys, by now we should be okay with past simple. We should be okay with prepositions of place and movement. We should be relatively okay with articles. So what happens next is they have, together with you, a Toastmasters session where they do speeches in English. And 1 person out of 5 people, maybe that you have 2 groups of 5 in your 10-person class, will look important and correct mistakes. They're quite good at it, By the way, the speeches itself are not that scary. Toastmasters Club usually helps people prepare for 2 things. For the big world, like, conferences and stuff, this is the 7-minute format. You prepare that at home. You think long and hard where to joke, where to say which word, and then there is the slightly less scary part, the 2-minute part. Have you heard of elevator pitches? Cool. By the way, the lift here is quite slow. If you grab someone and say something like, "Oh, Andrew, by the way, I have this nice idea for possibly co-authoring the next textbook with you, together with you," you have exactly 2 minutes to convince him. Forgive me to use you as an example, Andrew, and thank you. Your students will be given a topic which can be something you've recently used in class, like traveling or art. They will create the questions and they will give spontaneous speeches. One student prepares the question. The other student comes in front of the audience and, "Okay, you have 2 minutes, you have to speak about that." Let me run some of the questions about traveling by you. They come from my intermediate students. What should be done with visibly drunk passengers on planes? 2 minutes. Can your students do that? Intermediate. I teach adults, mind you. Okay, here is the kids version. What's your dream destination? And then what's your favorite destination? When they talk about favorite, they usually talk about their dacha, where they go to help granny pick mushrooms. The dream destination is usually more exotic. They may talk about current affairs. Recently, it's become trendy in Belarus, in IT industry, to bring dogs to work. They have a separate room. Usually it's like an office consisting of 20 rooms, and the separate room is both a gym and the dog kindergarten. It was on the news, there were photos, it was funny, so people asked questions about that. Dogs at work, yes or no? I'm allergic, do I quit? Whose dog pooped? Usually the speaker who has to answer a question like that how to combine the fun of bringing your Labrador to the office and the fact that the office manager is allergic and has to hide in the corner and cannot provide you with tea and toilet paper, the student forgets about the fact that they are speaking in public, standing up in front of the audience. But remember, one of your students is standing up, is a speaker. One of them is writing down notes, how they can do better next time. One of them is working on error correction, and then there is the person who helps with crutch words. You know, say you forget how to say ошейник. You say, Or you are not really sure what to say about allergy because on the one hand, you have a dog, but your boyfriend is allergic. So you don't know what to say and you go, The scary person, your accountant, sits there and does the accountant's job. Tick, 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 check, check, check. It's very cruel actually, because in the end, after having listened to 6 other students, the accountant will say something like, well, my dear Vadim, you somehow managed to make the sound 15 times in 2 minutes. And you, Marina, for you it was actually 23. How people manage that, I don't know, but you tried. You'd be surprised, because actually the statistics says that in a foreign language we always use crutch words more. And then comes the person who will today be impersonated by Yelena. Yelena, can you please show us your tools? The tools of a timekeeper during a Toastmasters session.
That's all this.
The big ones, please. See, the traffic lights. Say 1 minute before the end of your 2-minute talk, someone is waving an A4 green paper in front of you, because people get emotional and they forget about time at all. And then they wave a yellow paper in front of you, and they literally stand and wave, you know. And then, and here is a nice part, not red like in the traffic lights, amber, in order not to scare the speaker, you know, because we're trying to help. And then they swap. And they swap. And they swap. So the person who got feedback will be giving feedback next. Now, one of these will probably get bored and start scratching their head. It's always one of them. Can you guess which one? You're absolutely right. And then there's a trick, because after 2 turns, they get bored, and then we start doing what some of you guys are doing now. Taking videos. Taking pictures and making videos. Why? It's actually quite good for them, because if the classroom is big enough and you only have two groups, or say 3 groups, you can actually get decent videos. You can later upload them to a common Yandex Disk or Google Drive, and this is what you, the teacher, get to do the work, because our grammarian needs a little help, and you can do the double check and notice the problems that your grammarian students didn't, and this will be for you to put into the program and to organize remedial grammar presentations. By the way, have you ever used this in class to make videos? Oh, come on. I don't have the 3 tripods. I don't have the 4 tripods, and I don't have the 5 tripods. Ta-da! Who do you think taught me? My teenage students. And I also had to buy extra space on Google Drive due to that. Do you teach pre-intermediate students and above? Good, because at this point, only people who teach only elementary might as well leave. There's a list here of the pluses, the 8 pluses, which for me are the reason why I bother with Toastmaster sessions around 6 to 8 times a year if I work with a group for the whole academic year. These are notes, of course. I'd like you just for a minute or two to talk to the person next to you and figure it out. I mean, we're all like-minded individuals here. How many out of 8 will you definitely know are about? Can you talk to your neighbor about that? Oh, I can hide here, great. How many haven't you got? You got all 8. Cool. I particularly, come back. Helps employees pass job interviews. That was the contribution from a fellow Toastmaster member from Canada. It's a Belarusian like myself who emigrated to Canada. And she said, look, Natasha, in Toronto, there are 300 clubs. We all go. Why we go? Because from time to time, we all need to pass job interviews in English. Pitching, improvising in a foreign language in front of the audience really helps. It is so productive. It is like literally life-saving. And helps with assessment, the last one. I teach corporate students, same as Marjorie, and the management sometimes wants to have very, very precise information about what's going on, what they're paying their money for. Okay, no problem. Mid-semester, you have it recorded by students, those 2-minute pitches, and then you have a Google Drive full of proof that you are doing your job effectively, because the mid-semester Toastmaster session of your students will be a mere rehearsal in comparison to the end of semester Toastmaster session that you'll get. Stage fright here. What do people do when they get stage fright?
They don't stop.
Yeah? They shut up, they leave, they faint. They use notes. Is that okay?
Why not?
Do you think it's okay?
Depends on me.
Yeah, I know everything depends, come on. Do you think it's not okay to use notes when you have only 2 minutes to speak? No notes. Cruel people, I like you. But that's a photo from when Jude Law did a TED talk about 9 years ago in London. When I saw that, okay, not offline, online, unfortunately. Oh my God. See? He has that little bit of a paper, not even looking glamorous. You know what? If Jude Law can use notes, so can my students. Obviously, we use that for the 7-minute format, the one they prepare at home. A couple of life hacks for the roles, the ones that will help them improve for the further and further Toastmaster sessions. You have your brilliant Dmitry Nikitin school paper notebooks, and if we had the time for the actual session, you'd be taking notes for the 3 speakers you would hear. What they did great, what they might do better next time, and challenge. What should you do next? Use longer sentences. Use other words apart from nice, something like that. Give those to students for the role of evaluator. No, give them a separate notebook for evaluator, separate notebook for grammarian, and separate scary notebook for the who? Cool. Thank you. Students can't pay me forever. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to leave a little bit of me, the evil grammar-knowing, impeccably speaking, supposedly, inside them. I want them to combine the two the speaker and the grammarian, I want them to have Natalya's voice saying, but what about articles? Seriously, if they exchange roles, speaker, grammarian, speaker, grammarian, speaker, grammarian, the little voice, be it of the teacher or of a fellow student correcting them, will stay. Question. Okay, trick question. Can we get rid of all crutch words? So, you know, it's like with cakes. You need just the right amount of sugar. You can't leave a couple. But together with your group, you should decide not more than how many. The reality is that some of our students will need to take IELTS or TOEFL or Cambridge exams and the school exams. EGA for you, centralized testing for us in Belarus. This is where they have to concentrate and speak. The role of the timekeeper helps them. Questions? No, I want actual questions, seriously.
What about those new words, like ошейник or поводок? So can we give this role to the account also?
Providing them with the new words?
Yeah, or at least putting them down, for example, and later on, like, Google it or...
They all keep track. Actually, it's the role of the grammarian to write down the words, you know, the times when the speaker just had to shut up or had to very, very clearly paraphrase, you know, like that thing made of God knows what, which goes around there. What do you call it? That part of the dog, you know? Instead of just saying collar, that's extreme. It's the grammarian's job, and who gets the track records after the lesson? You. And you know what to do with them. Build your next lesson.
What happens if you have a group of 10 people, you distribute those 4 roles, there is a speaker, there are 4 other participants, and what are the other students doing meanwhile? Just listening?
Let me get back to the scheme. Marina is speaking, Tatiana is doing the evaluation, and she will later give her report to Marina publicly, so she will speak as well.
No. I mean, if you have a group of 10, 5 people are busy.
Yes.
And the other 5, are they taking notes?
Oh, it's going on simultaneously. The process is in the 2 groups.
Divide the class into several groups.
Oh my God, it's a lot of talking. Oh, which of the roles do you think can be combined? Like given to the 2? Oh my God, you're so strict. I normally combine the evaluator because it's about your taste. Basically, your evaluator will say, look, this thing about dog allergy, you did not use convincing arguments. But the second person might be convinced. 2 evaluators. Oh, and if you have 8 students, you know, a number divided by 4, kill the timekeeper. You can just use a mobile, to be honest with you.
Sorry, do I understand it correctly that you have special clubs, like the ones you can find on the website, and you can organize that as well as a separate activity for the classroom?
Exactly. I mean, where I go to speak, my students are not there. You know what I spoke about last time? The benefits of Russian swear words. You know, we used special number of asterisks so that people would understand and talked about the rating. I don't want my students to hear that. But about twice a semester, I use Toastmasters sessions with my students in order to make sure that their fluency and their accuracy are both growing.
So where do you get the questions for?
Look at me. I have enough crazy questions. Come on, the simplest question. Sell me a book. Tell me about the book you haven't read so that I want to, piracy is wrong, right? So that I want to buy a copy from Amazon. You've just seen the Oscar ceremony. You had the time to watch some of the movies. I haven't. Sell me a movie. It all depends on the topic. If not on the topic that you are studying with your students, just, a little bit with a twist. For instance, with my corporate students, it can be something like, we usually do it after the 8th of March. What do you never, ever want to do during a corporate party again? Answer karaoke. Last question.
What about the timing? So 2 minutes for the speaker, but what about the rest? I mean, how much time on average do you give for those people who are giving the feedback? I mean, so how much the overall session usually?
To be honest, in the club, we get serious about those things. But when you are in the classroom, you can sort of, give signals. Like another session starting in 2 minutes. I wouldn't be strict about that, but look, obviously, the comment on the talk probably shouldn't last longer than the talk itself. That's a general principle. Ladies and gentlemen, I do hope that you try this little shiny toy. And you know what, even if none of those 8 things work for you, at least you'll get thing number 9, variety and client satisfaction.